a release, a renewal, a rekindling of life, of love, of hope, of faith, of brotherhood, mutual respect, spiritual consciousness and understanding, and to all the peoples of this region, this Caribbean community. I call on the mystery of the spirit of I and Papa Ogun and the waters that surround us in abundance to continue to support and protect this region. In closing, I pray for continuous collaboration, for sustained, positive, systematic development for our region, and building of strong community relations with human dignity, fundamental freedoms, and human rights, without distinction as to race, sex, language, and religion. A solid foundation to build on. I ask the positive energies of the universe to continue to bless and keep our region protected and peaceful. I pray for unity, togetherness. Ashe, Ashe.
Came upon me to eat up my flesh. They stumbled and fell.
We continue in prayer with
Today,
Bishop
precious
Andrew
God,
John
we pray
of the Pentecostal
that
Assemblies
you
of
would
the
be
West.
this defense to our region, the Caribbean. We are asking as we gather at this 50th
The Lord is the strength
celebration of CARICOM
of my life.
that you would grant
Lord
your blessings
is my
to
light and my
our
salvation.
political leaders,
Whom shall I fear? When the wicked,
delegates,
even mine enemies
give
and
them
my foes,
discernment, wisdom,
came upon
knowledge,
me to eat up
and
my
understanding.
flesh. They stumbled and fell.
Give them grace,
Today,
increase their
precious
faith,
God, we pray
and prepare them
that you would be
to
this
pursue
defense
your excellence
to our region, the
at this
Caribbean.
conference.
We are asking
Bring
as
them
we gather
to you
at
help
this
them to
50th
know and
celebration
fulfill their
of
duties.
CARICOM, that you would
Almighty
grant
God,
your blessings
help
to
our leaders
our
excel
political
in
leaders,
strength and courage.
delegates,
Surround them with influences,
give them discernment,
that impart
wisdom, knowledge,
impact
and
sound
understanding.
and godly counsel. For
Give them
without your
grace,
counsel,
increase
their
their
path will go
faith,
crooked.
and prepare them
Lord,
to
bless
pursue
our leaders
your excellence.
and have their
at this
attention
conference.
centered on the urgent
Bring
needs
them
of our
to you
CARICOM region.
and help them to know
Provide
and
capabilities
fulfill their
to make us
duties.
prosper.
Almighty
Heavenly
God,
Father,
help
reminded
our
of you
leaders excel in
in your words
strength
given
and
to the wise
courage.
man, King
Surround them
in 2
with
Chronicles,
influences
chapter 7 and verse
that
14.
impart and
If my
impact
people
sound and
who are
godly
called by
counsel.
my name
For without
shall
your
humble
counsel,
themselves and pray
their path will
and
grow
seek
crooked.
my face and turn from
Lord,
their
bless
wicked ways,
our leaders
then I will hear from
and
heaven,
have their attention
forgive their
centered
sins,
on the
and heal
urgent
their land.
needs of our CARICOM
precious
region
Jesus.
and provide
Enable our
capabilities to make us
In their
prosper.
responsibilities to become willing
Heavenly Father,
and obedient to
I'm
you.
reminded of you
Let
in your
this
words given to the
50th
wise
CARICOM
man,
anniversary
King
and
Solomon,
45th
in
meeting
2 Chronicles,
of the
chapter
conference
7
of CARICOM
and verse 14.
heads of government,
If my people
that there
who are
be
called
in
by
the
my
midst
name
of our
shall humble
diversities
themselves
of
and pray
talents,
and seek my
differences
face
of administration,
and turn from their
and
wicked ways,
diversities of operations,
then I will hear from heaven
that there be the same
and
spirit
forgive their sins and
for
heal their
us to
land.
achieve the success
Precious
of
Jesus.
CARICOM. In Jesus'
Enable our leaders in their responsibilities to become willing
Representing the Muslim
and obedient to your will.
President General of the Antimon's
Let at this 50th CARICOM anniversary and 45th meeting of the Conference of CARICOM Heads of Government, that there be in the midst of our diversities of talents, differences of administration, and diversities of operations, that there be the same spirit
for us to achieve the success of CARICOM. In Jesus' name.
ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه
Thank you, Bishop.
ونعوذ بالله
Kindly
من
representing
شرور
the
أنفسنا
Muslim community,
ومن سيئات
President
أعمالنا
General of the
ما يهدي
Antiman
الله
Sultan
فلا
Association,
مضل له
Imam Haji
ومن
Ahmad
يضلله
Hussein.
فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا
الحمد
الصراط
لله.
المستقيم
الحمد لله
صراط
نحمده
الذين
ونستعينه
أنعمت
ونستغفره
غير المغضوب
ونؤمن به
عليهم
ونتوكل
ولا
عليه
الضالين.
ونعوذ بالله من
آمين.
شرور
بسم الله
أنفسنا
الرحمن
ومن
الرحيم.
سيئات أعمالنا
In the
ما
name of
يهدي
Allah,
الله فلا مضل
most
له
gracious, most
ومن
merciful.
يضلله فلا
All
هادي
praise
له
is due to Allah,
ونشهد
the
أن
Lord
لا
of the
إله
world, the
إلا الله
beneficent,
وحده
merciful,
لا شريك له
owner of the day of
وأشهد
judgment.
أن محمدا
Thee do we
عبده
serve,
ورسوله
and thee do we beseech your
بسم
help.
الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين
Bless all the leaders
الرحمن
of the
الرحيم
Caribbean states,
مالك يوم الدين
those who are
إياك
members
نعبد
and those who are
وإياك
associate
نستعين
members.
اهدنا
We ask of
الصراط
you,
المستقيم
O Allah,
صراط الذين
to guide them
أنعمت
in their
عليهم
deliberations,
غير المغضوب
that they
عليهم ولا
will make decisions
الضالين
that will be of
آمين
benefit
بسم الله
to their
الرحمن
respective
الرحيم
countries and citizens.
In the name of Allah,
We ask
most
you,
gracious,
O Lord,
most merciful.
to make the
All
task
praise
easy
is
for
due to
them.
Allah, the Lord of
And
the
when
world,
the
the
summit
beneficent,
is
the
over,
merciful. Honor
everyone
of the day
will
of
be
judgment.
satisfied
Thee
to
do we
return to
serve,
their country
and thee do we
and
beseech for
continue
help.
to guide their citizens once
O Allah, bless all the leaders
leaders
of the Caribbean states, those who are members and those who are associate members. We ask of you, O Allah, to guide them in their deliberations, that they will make decisions that will be of benefit to their respective countries and citizens. We ask you, O Lord, to make the task easy for them. And when the summit is over, everyone will be satisfied to return to their country and continue to guide their citizens once more. قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين لا إله إلا الله Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The chairman of the 45th
Thank you to Haji Ahmad Hussein. Our thanks to all heads of religion for leading us in prayer.
The host
Ladies and
country
gentlemen,
Prime
please be
Minister,
seated.
Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad.
As we prepare for the formal remarks, we shall establish the salutations and protocol on which this, the opening ceremony of the 45th regular meeting of the Conference Heads of Government in CARICOM shall be established. Your Excellency, Christine Kangaloo, ORTT, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and Your Excellency Kerwin Garcia, SC. The Chairman of the 45th meeting in Conference of Heads of Government, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica. The host country Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and other heads of government of the Caribbean community.
Of international
The Secretary
and
General
regional
of CARICOM,
institutions,
Dr. Carla Barnett.
members of the
Chief
diplomatic
Justice
corps,
of the Republic of
heads
Trinidad
of
and Tobago,
delegations,
the Honorable Mr. Justice
delegates,
Ivor Archie.
members of the
President
media,
of the
distinguished
Senate of the Republic
ladies
of Trinidad
and
Tobago,
gentlemen.
Senator the Honorable
Please welcome
Knight
to
of
deliver
Fragrance.
remarks
The
the
Speaker of the
Secretary
House
General of
Representatives
CARICOM,
of the Republic
Dr.
of Trinidad
Carla
and Tobago,
Barnett.
the Honorable Bridget Anisette George, Honorable Ministers of Cabinet, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Your Excellency Antonio Guterres, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Korea, Your Excellency Han Duck-soo, other heads of international and regional institutions, members of the diplomatic corps, heads of delegations,
it is my
delegates,
distinct pleasure to welcome
members
you
of the
to this
media,
45th
distinguished
meeting of the
ladies
Conference of
and
Heads of
gentlemen.
Government of CARICOM.
Please
where
welcome
we
to
are
deliver remarks
celebrating our
the
50th
Secretary
anniversary.
General of CARICOM,
On behalf of
Dr.
CARICOM,
Carla Barnett.
I express our appreciation to our host Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, and the people of Trinidad and Tobago for providing us a most favorable setting in which to conduct the business of the community and to celebrate our Golden Jubilee. The Caribbean's world-renowned hospitality is very much appreciated.
Ladies
I
and
extend
gentlemen,
sincere
good
gratitude
evening.
to our
Protocol
outgoing chair, the
having
Honorable
been
Philip
established,
Davis, Prime
it is
Minister
my
of the
distinct
Bahamas,
pleasure to
who
welcome you
steered
to
our
this
community with
45th
foresight
meeting
and
of the Conference of Heads of
determination
Government
through
of
a period
CARICOM,
of significant
where we are
developments.
celebrating our 50th
The community
anniversary.
now welcomes the Prime Minister
On behalf of
Dominica,
CARICOM,
the Honorable
I
Roosevelt
express our
Skerrit,
appreciation to our host
into
Prime
the
Minister,
chair.
Dr. the
I
Honorable
extend
Keith Rowley, and the people of
congratulations to
Trinidad
you
and Tobago
assure you
for
of the
providing
ongoing
us a most
support
favorable
of the
setting in which to
Secretary
conduct
and
the business
myself
of the
as you
community
lead the
and to
advancement
celebrate
of the
our Golden
community's
Jubilee.
agenda.
The
I am
Caribbean's
pleased to acknowledge the
world-renowned
distinguished presence
hospitality
of His Excellency
is
Antonio
very much
Guterres,
appreciated.
Secretary General
I
of the
extend
United
sincere
Nations,
gratitude to our
one of
outgoing
our
chair, the
special
Honorable
guests who will
Philip Davis,
celebrate and exchange
Prime Minister of the
views with us at
Bahamas,
this meeting.
who steered our community
Over the
with
next 2 days,
foresight
we will engage
and
with
determination through a
including
period
the
of
President
significant
Rwanda,
developments.
the Prime Minister of South
The
Korea,
community
and
now
the
welcomes the
delegations
Prime
from
Minister
both
of
the
Dominica,
administration
the Honorable
and
Roosevelt
Congress of the
Skerrit,
United States,
into
and
the
the
chair.
President-designate of
I
South
extend
Korea.
congratulations to you and
There is no doubt
assure you of the
that as
ongoing
our
support
50th anniversary
of
theme
the
on
Secretariat
scores,
and myself
CARICOM
as you
is
lead
50
the
years
advancement of the
strong,
community's agenda.
and we have a solid
I am
foundation
pleased to acknowledge the
to build
distinguished
on.
presence of
This
His
is a
Excellency
foundation that
Antonio
has been laid
Guterres,
regionally and
Secretary General
internationally
of the
by
United
stand
Nations,
stalwarts
one of
who
our
have
special
been
guests who will
standard-bearers
celebrate
for
and
integration
exchange views
and
with
for
us at
CARICOM
this
to have
meeting.
its rightful place
Over the next
in
2
the
days,
global
we will engage
community.
with several guests,
We are building
including
on
the
the
President
efforts
of
of
Rwanda,
Arthur Lewis,
the Prime Minister
William
of South
DeMaas,
Korea, high-level
Alistair
delegations from
McIntyre,
both the administration
T.J. Patterson,
and Congress of
Sridhar
the United
Ramphal,
States,
Nita
and the
Barrow,
President-designate of
Kamaluddin Mohammed,
COP28.
Peggy Antrobus,
There is no
Owen
doubt
Arthur,
that,
Patrick
as our
Manning,
50th anniversary
Edwin
theme
Carrington,
underscores,
and Billy
CARICOM
Miller,
is
to
50
name
years
just a
strong,
few. They
and
took
we
on
have
the
a
vision
solid
of the founders
foundation
and ensured that as
to
the
build on.
Caribbean community solidified
This is a
its
foundation
regional
that has
integration,
been laid
it
regionally
made a
and
mark
internationally by
internationally,
stalwarts
which demonstrated
who
that
have
the
been
constraints
standard
of
bearers
small
for
size
integration
could be
and for
overcome by
CARICOM to have its
collaboration
rightful
and
place
integration.
in the global community.
It was CARICOM that spearheaded
We are building on the
formation
efforts of
African,
Arthur
Caribbean,
Lewis,
and Pacific states,
William
now
DeMaas,
the OACPS,
Alistair
and
McIntyre,
led negotiations
T.J.
with
Patterson,
Europe for preferential
Sridhar
trading
Ramphal,
arrangements.
Nita Barrow,
CARICOM was at
Kamaluddin
the
Mohammed,
forefront of the struggle
Peggy
for UN
Antrobus,
recognition
Owen Arthur,
of small
Patrick
island
Manning,
and low-lying
Edwin
coastal
Carrington,
developing states, SIDS,
and Billy Miller,
and later played a
to
critical
name
role
just a few.
at COP21
They
in
took on the
Paris in
vision of the
2015,
founders and ensured that as the
resulting in
Caribbean
agreement to
community
limit
solidified
global
its
warming to
regional
1.5
integration,
degrees above
it made a mark
pre-industrial
internationally, which
CARICOM
demonstrated that the
resuscitated and our
constraints
leaders
of
led the
small
charge
size
towards the
could be
International
overcome
Criminal
by
Court.
collaboration and integration.
CARICOM prioritized
It was
the
CARICOM
importance
that
of health
spearheaded the formation of the
development
African,
policy in the
Caribbean, and
Nassau
Pacific
Declaration
states,
of 2001,
now the OACPS,
and brought the
and led
ravages of
negotiations with
non-communicable
Europe
diseases
for
to global
preferential
attention
trading
in the Port of
arrangements.
Spain Consensus of
CARICOM was at the
2007.
forefront of the struggle
Within
for
our
UN
own
recognition
space, we have
of
established
small
critical
island and
institutions
low-lying
that are
coastal
high-functioning
developing states,
and highly
SIDS,
regarded.
and later played
No
a
one
critical
can
role
question the
at
excellence of the
COP21 in
Caribbean
Paris
Public
in
Health
2015,
exemplified
resulting in the
their
agreement to
leadership
limit global
in the
warming
fight
to
against the
1.5
COVID-19
degrees
pandemic.
above pre-industrial
The same
levels.
applies to the Caribbean
CARICOM
Disaster Emergency
resuscitated and our
Management
leaders
Agency,
led the
SEDIMA,
charge towards
whose
the
performance,
International Criminal Court.
despite severe constraints and
CARICOM
growing demands
prioritized
from
the importance of
increasing
health
impact of natural
in
disasters,
development policy in the Nassau
continues to be
Declaration of
exemplary.
2001
The work of the
and brought
Caribbean
the
Community
ravages of
Climate Change
non-communicable
Center has
diseases
earned
to
its
global
universal
attention
acclaim,
in the
and
Port of
list can
Spain
go on.
Consensus of
Yes,
2007.
we do have our challenges.
Within our
and there
own
are
space,
areas
we have
crying out
established
for
critical
improvement,
institutions
which
that are
continue high functioning and highly regarded. No one can question the excellence of the Caribbean Public Health Agency, exemplified in their leadership in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The same applies to the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, SEDIMA, whose performance, despite severe constraints and growing demands from the increasing impact of natural disasters, continues to be exemplary. The work of the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center has earned its universal acclaim, and the list can go on. Yes, we do have our challenges, and there are areas crying out for improvement which continue to bedevil us. The knotty issue of transportation, expansion of intra-regional trade, hassle-free movement of our citizens, and the pervasive nature of crime and insecurity stand out in that regard. We are grappling with a multifaceted crisis, crime and security, constitutional and political and humanitarian in our most heavily populated member state, Haiti. As our community seeks to assist the Haitian people to find an effective solution to the crises, we have appointed an eminent persons group which has started to facilitate dialogue among key Haitian stakeholders, beginning with a broadly inclusive engagement held in Jamaica a few weeks ago. This work will continue. We recognize the critical importance of food security, and as we shall hear from our lead head on agriculture and food and nutrition security, the thrust to reduce our food import bill by 25% by 2025 is gathering momentum. The urgency of advancing our digital agenda is first-line priority, and our regional digital development strategy is also, therefore, gathering momentum. Through our Human Resource Development Strategy 2030, we are implementing our action plan to equip our young people with the tools necessary to function effectively in the 21st century. We are seeking to embrace even more innovative ideas from our young people and moving to provide opportunities to challenge their creativity into areas of entrepreneurship. Further, a significant part of our agro-food agenda is encouraging young people into the sector, utilizing the new tools of IT-enabled protected agriculture to increase productivity and build sustainable livelihoods. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the global crises, the deleterious effects of climate change and natural disasters, and the ongoing threats to the security of our people and decisions, the achievements of the past 5 decades will set us on a course that vision for another 50 and concerted action are critical to achieving sustainable prosperity and security for our region. Time and again, despite changing global realities, our community has demonstrated that resolve and resilience necessary to maintain the course of integration. The Caribbean community has done well. It is therefore fitting that we acknowledge and celebrate our Golden Jubilee. I have every confidence that our deliberations and decisions over the next 2 days of meeting will set us on a course for another 50 successful years. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. Barnett, CARICOM Secretary General. Ladies and gentlemen, we now present one of Trinidad and Tobago's celebrated choirs, the Lydians, here to perform Andre Taker's Sayamanda. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to address you the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to address you the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley.
Region. I, as host Trinidad and Tobago, hosting the region, I'm duty bound to acknowledge the Excellency, the President of Trinidad and Tobago, Mrs. Christine Kangaloo, and Mr. Corin Garcia, the Chairman Philip Davis of CARICOM, outgoing Chairman, incoming Chairman, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, other ladies and gentlemen, heads of government, Protocol having been established across the CARICOM region. Secretary General of the Caribbean Community, I, as host Trinidad and Tobago, Excellency, Dr. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General acknowledge of the United Nations, Excellency, the President, Your Excellency, Hans of Trinidad and Tobago, Prime Minister of the Republic of Korea, and the Honorable Chief Justice, Mr. Ivor Archie, and Mr. Chairman Philip Davis of CARICOM, the Honorable Bridget Anisette George, Speaker of the House of Representatives, and Mr. Newman George, Prime Minister, Senator the Honorable Nigel Freitas, President of the Senate of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and Mr. Excellency Dr. Carla Barnett, Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly and Community, Ministers of Government, Dr. Antonio Guterres and Tobago, Secretary General of Government of the United Nations, specially invited Your Excellency, Hans Doksu, heads of the Prime Minister and Ambassadors to the Korean community, members of Parliament Chief Justice and Tobago, Mr. Ivor Archie, representatives of the international organization, Rodriguez Archie, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Bridget Anisette George, Speaker of the House of Representatives, and Mr. Newman George. Today, Senator the Honorable, it is my honor to welcome you, President of the Senate, the beautiful Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and Mr. Senator for the convening of the 45th Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of the Conference of the Heads of Government, Ministers of Government of the Republic of Trinidad and the Caribbean, are the Ministers of Government. This is a significant event. Specially invited guests, we also launched the celebration of the 50th anniversary of the signing of the original Treaty of Chagaranga, right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Organizations. Historians of the future will agree, members of the media, that this celebration took place at a critical juncture today in the regional integration movement. To welcome you, never before have small states faced the broad and deep we can reflect with reverence on the events that transpired in Chagaramas on July 4th, 1973, and pay homage to the foresight our founding fathers had when they laid the foundation upon which this great family of nations was built. I anticipate that there will be many moments of introspection and reflection over the course of the next few days as we take the opportunity to mark this golden anniversary together, side by side. I am particularly delighted to acknowledge the 4 visionaries who pioneered our regional integration movement with valor and ensured that the original Treaty of Chagaramas was signed on that fateful day. I speak about the late Prime Ministers Errol Barrow of Barbados, Forbes Burnham of Guyana, Michael Manley of Jamaica, and Dr. Eric Eustace Williams of Trinidad and Tobago. They were leaders who understood that our strength as small states lies in our unity. They understood that our collective destiny can only be fulfilled through our determined collaboration in the face of global systems that are designed to keep us weak, dependent, and apart from each other. It is my belief that if those founding fathers could speak to us today, they would re-emphasize the essential role of this regional leadership to empower our people to navigate the storms that the international order consistently throws our way. Indeed, I hereby inform the people of the Caribbean community that tomorrow, on the 4th day of July 2023, the 50th anniversary of the CARICOM's founding, we, the heads of government, will be placing into a special time capsule our letters, our reflections, our advice, our lessons addressed to our successors 50 years from now, to be opened by them on July 4th, 2073. I hope you see us there tomorrow in Chagaramas as well. As I survey this lovely audience gathered here in this beautiful afternoon in Port of Spain, I am reminded that a much smaller audience would have traveled to Trinidad and Tobago for that very first Heads of Government conference in July 1973, which was convened by the late, great Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, the then Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Indeed, it was Dr. Williams, an eminent Caribbean historian, who proposed the creation of a Caribbean community at that time. The pioneering members of Barbados, Guyana, Jamaica, and Trinidad and Tobago. Today, 50 years later, our membership has grown to include 15 members and 5 associate members, but even further growth is near at hand. We look forward to joining hands with Martinique and the brothers and sisters of the Dutch Antilles soon. Those early steps taken in Chagaramas have led us far beyond what the naysayers and doomsayers were certain would have been a short lifespan and another disastrous shattering. But here we are today, 50 years on, side by side, in mutual solidarity, regard, respect, and esteem. Strong, committed, and unified. Together, this regional family of nations can examine with pride our achievements during the last half-century. We have faced many challenges and have risen to overcome them. Despite the difficulties, through our cooperation, our shared goals, and above all else, through the friendship within CARICOM. Our regional integration movement has not only survived, but it has thrived, expanded, and flourished. Whilst we recognize that there's a whole lot more to be attained at this juncture, we can proudly say that we have been going in the right direction. And with renewed confidence and vigor, we can indicate our intention to continue by joining the famous Jamaican radio announcer, Don Toppin, whose clarion call was always, "Today the Caribbean, tomorrow the world." Honored ladies and gentlemen, I have the distinction of having served in the political sphere for decades, not quite as long as my comrade Ralph Gonzalez, but long enough to have witnessed firsthand the way that CARICOM has remained relevant to the needs and dreams and aspirations of its regional citizenry. Our children need to be taught its relevance and its history. Now, as we enter the post-pandemic era, our bonds are more important than ever before. None of us will ever forget those long, dark days and nights when over a few years, the lives and livelihoods of our people hung in the balance under the threat of what was then a very novel, death-dealing virus. Our trade, tourism, manufacturing, culture, services, and our very living was severely affected, and the gross domestic product of every member state was significantly affected without exception, and we went into stark decline. The resilience of our community endured this test and survived, in large part to the determination of our people and the strength bestowed upon us by our ancestors due to the strength of our regional organs, such as the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARFA, and due to a caliber of leadership right across the Caribbean that joined in solidarity to advocate when needed, to remonstrate when necessary, to share when required, and through it all, to stand together through thick and thin. Over the past year, we have rebuilt and forged ahead as we have actively advanced the regional agenda, facing our challenges head-on. From rising regional debt to growing trade deficits, we as a community have been buffeted by the ravages of an international financial system designed to disempower us. As serious as the world's problems are, and having been shut out of many of the markets through trade restrictions like the sugar and banana industries, we can hardly be excited by the ongoing prospect of being escorted out of the world's financial system through de-risking and loss of correspondent banking, not to mention being encouraged to hastily abandon our hydrocarbon resources, even as others expand their natural gas production, open up nuclear power, and fire up their own coal powering station. Through participation in a series of ongoing high-level meetings amongst ourselves and with the international community, we continue to chart our own destiny. We did this back in 2001 when we signed the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas and created the CARICOM Single Market and Economy. On the 3rd and 4th December 2018, we, in special meeting, assembled at the Hilton Hotel in Port of Spain, and there we agreed to drive the process by unanimously signing on to the St. Anne's Accord. We did this when we, as a community, met with leaders from around the world to spell out our perspectives and our priorities. And some of those very leaders have joined us in celebration here tonight. We did this when we held landmark events such as the Agri-Investment Forum in Guyana, the second of which was hosted in Trinidad and Tobago, the Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum in Barbados, the Regional Symposium to address crime as a public health issue in Port of Spain, and most recently, key stakeholder meetings to help address the crisis in our fellow member state of Haiti. These are but a few of the focused approaches that we have undertaken as heads to reinforce sustainable development, tackle poverty, and address rising crime and insecurity in the region. I say all of this to highlight that, beyond the doubts, CARICOM is working diligently to serve the people of the region. While at times the going may be slow, or the outcome may not have been readily apparent, we all continue to build on the strong foundation laid 50 years ago. Even as we prepare for this great future, as Bob Marley and Frantz Fanon said, we cannot forget our past. We can see that our trajectory, though arduous at times, is one that will lead to a better future for all our people. We, as the leaders, must continue to do our part in contribution to this united journey. And in doing so, we will ensure that the foundation laid by our founding fathers was not just a foundation for us, but also one for our children and for generations to follow. To do this, we must continue to have boundless faith in our destiny. It is not my role this evening to speak to the substantive issues in detail. Those will be addressed later on by chairman of the conference and others. My task is a simple one: to set the tone and to extend the warm hospitality of Trinidad and Tobago to our regional partners and international guests over the coming days. I hope you're satisfied with our arrangements. I must acknowledge that efforts of the Trinidad and Tobago team and the CARICOM secretarial staff, who in collaboration with the chairman of conference, Prime Minister of Dominica, have worked tirelessly to prepare a fitting program to commemorate the launch of the 50th anniversary celebrations. In recognition of the fact that the people of our region are renowned for being able to have a good time, this program includes a special 50th anniversary concert planned for tomorrow evening. I am sure that you all look forward to being able to unwind in Caribbean style. Let us celebrate as we in the Caribbean know how. Tomorrow morning, heads of governments will return to Chaguaramas to pay poignant tribute to the important beginnings of this great community. As Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, it is my deep honor to host you on this, the Caribbean Golden Jubilee of CARICOM. And I look forward to deepening the fraternal bonds within our family of nations in the years ahead. I wish you a most productive, memorable, and enjoyable time in Trinidad and Tobago. All that's left for me to do now is to sincerely thank my friend and brother Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of Dominica, incoming chairman of CARICOM, for visualizing this day and agreeing to allow Trinidad and Tobago the honor of revisiting our CARICOM past as we commit to a brighter and closer CARICOM future. Brothers and sisters, I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, he first learned the intoned singing of ancestral prayers. From the time he was 8 years old, he was curious and eager to explore the mysteries of music. He tried out the harmonium, the centuries-old dolak and danta, the clarinet, the mandolin. By instinct and by ear, he finally chose the king of all instruments, the sitar. He is now an acclaimed Caribbean sitarist, Mangal Patessa, and performing with his fusion band, Pantar, from Trinidad and Tobago, their 2009 composition, Dreadlocks. Thank you to Mangal Patesar and Pantar. Ladies and gentlemen, to address us now, please welcome the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, the Honorable Philip Edward Davis, KC.
Your Excellencies, I do adopt the established protocol. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Secretary General of the OAS, Luis Almagro, and the Secretary General of the Commonwealth Secretariat, Baroness Patricia Scotland. Ladies and gentlemen, my thanks to the government and people of Trinidad for the warm welcome and hospitality with which you have greeted us. As our travels take us around the region in our various forums and discussions, there is a lot to be said for the Caribbean personality and spirit, which we sometimes take for granted. Back in January, when the Bahamas assumed the chair of Caribbean Community, I noted that regional cooperation has never been more urgent and necessary. I'm happy to report that during the past 6 months, we have seen a lot of that regional cooperation in action. Part of the experience of the COVID-19 pandemic was the demonstration of the fact that working together, we can ensure the safety of us all. The Bahamas continues to believe that none of us will develop sustainably or securely if we leave our neighbors behind. We continue to believe that none of us will truly prosper if our resources are forever taxed by the poverty and instability of those nearby. And so it is, through close cooperation and action, we've been able to address and make progress on many of the priorities which I set out at the beginning of our term. The heads of government meeting held in Nassau in February was a major catalyst and springboard in pushing forward matters. In respect of the regional response to the impact of climate change on our people, we advanced a commitment made in August last year when we determined to hold a united stance and focus relating to the 4 thematic areas of mitigation, adaptation, loss and damage, and support for cross-cutting issues within the region. One of the key outcomes is that Green Climate Fund is willing to assist with the development of a blue economy co-investment strategy for the Caribbean region. As part of our effort to secure an overhaul of the global finance system and processes, CARICOM has thrown its full weight behind the Bridgetown initiative. Colleagues, we must not let up. We must continue to push this agenda forward and continue to build on the great interest and support which other countries have already expressed. Our priorities have also engaged with a range of security-related issues on which I'm pleased to report we have seen a marked degree of progress. At the Regional Symposium to Address Crime and Violence held here in Port of Spain in April, we collectively declared crime as a public health issue across our region, sending a clear message that we will not tolerate the epidemic of violence that has gripped our nations and claimed the lives of far too many of our young people. In our declaration, we recognize the urgency of crime in our nations and its cost to our social, economic, and health systems. We immediately implemented the CARICOM Arrest Warrant Treaty and laid the foundation for many other necessary frameworks to build cross-border cooperation, enhance capacity, and enact reforms to ensure safety in our communities. Now, colleagues, we must forge ahead to meet the commitments of our declaration. Our nations and our people cannot afford any less than resolute action. In recognition of the deep and devastating impact which trafficking of illegal firearms from the United States has had on violent crime in our countries, we have declared a war on guns throughout the region. Not for the first time, we join our voices to call upon our neighbor to the north to take action to stop illegal export of firearms to our shores. Our entreaties to the United States have begun to bear fruit. In word and deed, they are playing a much more active role in the effort to reduce the trafficking in people, guns, and drugs. One of the most visible signs of the United States' commitment was evidenced in the leaders' meeting held in May between the leaders of the region and Vice President Kamala Harris. As this was the first official visit to the Bahamas by an American president or vice president since our independence in 1973, we thought that the visit itself indicated an enhanced seriousness of purpose in their stated commitment to engage more fully with the region. The Vice President's commitments to specific security measures and to commit funds to support a number of initiatives were even more welcomed. As global challenges continue to expand and magnify, the certainties of the world order continue to be called into question. We must not let up our efforts to do what we can to guarantee our security in the building blocks of our communities. I'm pleased, therefore, that we have continued to make progress in building greater security, sustainability, and affordability in the supply of food and energy in the region. In spite of the many other pressing issues which vie for our attention, we must not relegate these issues to the back burner. High on the agenda for all our regional discussions has been the situation in Haiti. The Bahamas remains committed to acting as a lead with other CARICOM member states to find a solution to the ongoing humanitarian and security crisis there. The CARICOM-led meeting of Haitian stakeholders in Kingston in June was cause for cautious optimism. Stakeholders welcomed the inclusive nature of the meeting, which were a microcosm of the Haitian society. As a demonstration of the effectiveness of regional cooperation, the Eminent Persons Group, convened by CARICOM, was urged to continue to use CARICOM's good offices to work with all stakeholders to find a definitive solution to the crisis in Haiti. Along with the moral imperative to support our neighbors in finding a way out of the political morass, which is causing so much suffering, it is a prime illustration of the point which I have made for some time now, that none of us can be safe until we are all safe. In Haiti, beyond the pressing issue of security, there's the long-term issue of restoring the country to that fully functional democratic state. This fundamental principle that the people of the CARICOM region should have both a say and a role in their governance is part of the bedrock for our community. This is why CARICOM is already playing a significant role in protecting the internal democracy in the Associated States. And so we joined the meeting of Bermuda, Cayman, the British Virgin Islands, Montserrat, and Anguilla, and reaffirmed their right to self-determination and self-governance. As a matter of principle, we strongly support the proposition that this dialogue should become a standing item of the CARICOM agenda to take place before each meeting of the heads of government. Colleagues, in just 7 days' time, the Bahamas will likewise celebrate our 50th birthday, our 50th anniversary of independence. Activities have been underway for several months, but the date itself is obviously of great significance to us. Amongst our national celebration of past achievements, we have threaded discussions of what we wish to determine for our future. We look forward with great optimism and with a profound sense of hope that we can continue to move closer to realizing the ideals and dreams of our founders. I see so many similarities in the 50th anniversary celebrations of the founding of CARICOM. Finally, I wish to extend my personal thanks to all those who have contributed to the success of our chairmanship. The Secretary General and her team have been invaluable. The staff and your administrations have strongly supported our efforts to move forward our mission. And on a more personal note, colleagues, my gratitude to you for your willingness to engage more deeply in the development of the region. I believe that national and personal friendships, which have been strengthened over the past 6 months, will give us an even greater foundation on which to build. And I'm so happy to hand this over to my good friend, Prime Minister of Dominica, Roosevelt Skerrit, whose capable hands will no doubt continue the building blocks to ensure that our community becomes closer and closer. For all of it, I say thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, on the occasion of CARICOM's 50th anniversary, and at this, the 45th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM, please welcome to address you the Secretary General of the United Nations, His Excellency Antonio Guterres.
Distinguished heads of state and government, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. It is my privilege to join you for CARICOM's 50th anniversary. Anticipating tomorrow, happy birthday, CARICOM. Prime Minister Rowley, thank you for your warm welcome. Excellencies, I am coming here from Haiti. The security situation is appalling. Humanitarian needs are soaring, and there is not yet a full political solution in sight. But I came with hope and optimism. And it is impossible to look at the crisis without seeing the long shadow of centuries of colonial exploitation, extortion, dictatorship, and other screaming injustices. We must help ease the suffering of the Haitian people. And I want to remind that our humanitarian appeal is only funded at 23%. It is a tragedy within a tragedy. I want to recognize the critical efforts of CARICOM leaders to extend your good offices, the meeting in Jamaica and the 3 high-level personalities involved. And I will continue to push for a robust international security force authorized by the Security Council to be able to help the Haitian National Police to defeat and dismantle the gangs. And I reiterate my call to all partners to increase support for the National Police in the form of financing, training, and equipment. Let's be clear. There can be no lasting security without strengthened democratic institutions, and there can be no strong democratic institutions without a drastic improvement in the security situation. Excellencies, the challenges we see in Haiti require greater engagement and greater solidarity. And that is precisely the founding spirit of CARICOM. You have advanced cooperation on every front, from economic and social development, to fighting illegal drugs and arms trafficking, to combating non-communicable diseases, to advance gender equality. And of course, you have championed climate action and focused attention on the plight of small island developing states. The United Nations relies on Caribbean expertise and leadership. And I don't have to look very far for that wisdom. It starts in the office next to mine with my chef de cabinet, former permanent representative of Jamaica to the United Nations, Courtney Rattray. And I look forward to working closely with Trinidad and Tobago's own Ambassador Dennis Francis as the next President of the General Assembly. Excellencies, this anniversary is a time for critical reflection on the enormous challenges confronting the Caribbean. COVID-19 has destroyed lives and livelihoods, independently of our extraordinary response. Tourism and export receipts temporarily collapsed. Prices for fuel and food skyrocketed. Debt burdens grew heavier, liquidity dried up, and access to global capital markets worsened dramatically. All the while, the climate emergency continues to escalate, threatening the very existence of small island and low-lying coastal states. We need action on two fronts. First, action to fix finance. Today's crisis has revealed an international financial system that is outdated, dysfunctional, and unfair. As part of our preparation for the Summit of the Future, I have put forward a detailed blueprint for a redesigned global financial architecture, including the Bretton Woods system. But change will not happen overnight. And Caribbean leaders have been pointing the way forward, including Prime Minister Mia Mottley through the Bridgetown Initiative and Prime Minister Andrew Holness through the Finance for Development Initiative. I have proposed a set of actions world leaders can take now. And they include an SDG stimulus for investments in sustainable development, climate action, and more. An enhanced and effective debt relief mechanism. New financial tools, such as swaps that convert debts into investments in climate adaptation. An increase in the capital base of multilateral development banks, and a change in their business model with a new approach to risk to be able to leverage more private finance at reasonable cost in support of developing countries. The rechanneling of special drawing rights and the shift in subsidies away from fossil fuels and unsustainable agriculture and food systems into sustainable development. And redressing a core injustice facing middle-income countries. The continued lack of access to concessional financing because of allocation metrics that ignore vulnerabilities to shocks such as financial crises or climate-related disasters. And I fully support your call for a multidimensional vulnerability index. Excellencies, that leads me to the second area for action, the climate crisis. Limiting the rise in global temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius is still possible, but it will require carbon emissions to be cut by 45% by 2030. That is why I proposed the Climate Solidarity Pact, in which all big emitters make extra efforts to cut emissions and wealthier countries support emerging economies to do so. And that is why I have put forward an acceleration agenda to boost these efforts. I urged governments to hit fast forward on their net zero deadlines so that developed countries commit to reaching net zero as close as possible to 2040 and the emerging economies as close as possible to 2050. And Caribbean countries have been showing the way. And developed countries must also finally make good on their financial commitments to developing countries, including by meeting the $100 billion goal, doubling adaptation finance, replenishing the Green Climate Fund, and operationalizing the Loss and Damage Fund this year. I thank Caribbean leaders for your powerful calls for climate justice, advancing global action on loss and damage, investing in renewables, and safeguarding biodiversity, including through the efforts of indigenous communities. Excellencies, in his iconic song, Rally Around the West Indies, the great Calypsonian David Rudder said, "Soon we must take a side or be lost in the rubble in a divided world that don't need islands no more." My message is clear, our world needs the islands. We need to rally around CARICOM. You have my full support, and I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the Commonwealth of Dominica, please welcome the Carina Cultural Group to perform a traditional folk dance, promoting and highlighting the rich Kalinago cultural heritage. The Carina Cultural Group. Let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen, for the Carina Cultural Group. This is a fitting introduction as we welcome to the stage the incoming chairman of the Conference of the Caribbean Community and Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Ladies and gentlemen, to address you, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt.
Good evening, everyone. I want to especially recognize the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Her Excellency Christine Kangal, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, my colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I believe it is fitting that we should gather here in Trinidad and Tobago on this most significant occasion in the history of the Caribbean community, CARICOM. It is significant because it was here 50 years ago that Prime Ministers Errol Barrow of Barbados, Forbes Burnham of Guyana, Michael Manley of Jamaica, and Dr. Eric Williams of Trinidad and Tobago signed the Treaty of Chaguaramas, setting the region on a solid footing on the road to integration. I must thank the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, for his ready acceptance of my proposal to host the 45th meeting of the conference in recognition of the fact that it coincides with the milestone of our community's golden anniversary. Prime Minister, thank you very much. And I want to say to some of you that Dr. Rowley is a much nicer man than some of you think. You just have to get to know him. I am sure you will agree with me that there is no better place than the birthplace of CARICOM to mark and celebrate this occasion. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I feel a sense of deep privilege that I assume the chair of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM as we embark on another 50 years of strengthening regional integration to further advance gains already made in the interest of all the people of our region. I follow the Honorable Philip Davis, Prime Minister of the Bahamas, whose energetic and thoughtful leadership over the past 6 months has set the tone for this week's celebrations. Prime Minister, thank you very much. As a matter of fact, he did so well, I contemplated at some point to allow him to continue for another 6 months. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, these past 50 years of CARICOM have seen many achievements. We deserve to be proud of our history. It is no mean feat that we have the longest surviving economic integration movement in the developing world. And second only to the European Union globally. We have things that we should be proud of in CARICOM. And so it is with justifiable pride that we should all say, I am CARICOM. Even as we celebrate this landmark in the evolution of our integration movement, we must be mindful that the symbols and events of celebration do not serve as a distraction from the substance of the heavy lifting still needed to make our community viable, prosperous, secure, and beneficial to all of its people. As we set ourselves new targets to ensure that we thrive in this ever-changing global environment, there are unfinished tasks that we must complete. The issue of free movement, non-tariff barriers to trade, reliable and affordable transportation are all fundamental to a truly integrated CARICOM. We must address our minds and collective will to resolve some key issues. We have the opportunity on this historic occasion, and as we deliberate over the next few days, to take some decisions that can be truly transformative for our people and which will shape the future of our community for the next 50 years. On the eve of the 50th anniversary of the CARICOM community, I pose a question to us all. One that I am sure is on the minds of all citizens of this region. What is really preventing us from reviving the single domestic space that once allowed our citizens to traverse freely across our region? We have already tried and tested the Advanced Passenger Information System, APIS, which allows immigration and security personnel in each of our countries full access to the details of every passenger boarding an aircraft or a ferry. The APIS system also makes a nonsense of the continued use of the ED forms. Additionally, the Implementation Agency for Crime and Security Systems, IMPACS, and the Regional Security System, RSS, institutions that we have relied on during the toughest of times, are both well equipped to complement the workings of the Advanced Passenger Information System. My distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to make intra-regional travel a joy rather than a hassle. "16 years ago, we showed considerable commitment and political will to allow our people to move freely through 10 member states. It worked then, it can work now. And we have Sister Mia who pioneered those efforts 16 years ago. Similar political will must be brought to bear on the issues of expansion of the categories for free movement of skilled nationals to benefit the growth and expansion of the regional economy and the spirit of our community. And what better time than the celebration of our 50th anniversary to say to all of us in the Caribbean that we can move freely within the CARICOM space. The reality is that in any free trade arrangement within an integration movement, there will be those who benefit more than others. We recognize this in our revised treaty. It is therefore incumbent upon us all to strive to increase the ability of the less endowed to participate more fully in the trading arrangements. We must all seek to make our arrangements more equitable and use the provisions of the treaty in a more positive manner. It is true that there are dispute mechanism procedures, but we are all in this together for the benefit of the entire CARICOM. This is the true spirit of the community. We are our brothers and sisters' keeper, not only in times of disaster, but in all things. Ladies and gentlemen, unity in economic well-being, in security, in health, and in disaster management must be translated into all our processes. This must be the mantra that propels us into the next 50 years. Another of our processes which which must be addressed is that of regional travel. We are all very aware of the challenges of making air and sea transportation more efficient and affordable. But I dare say, it is for these insistent challenges that our region looks most to this CARICOM community for solutions. Colleague heads, we need now to actively pursue creative and affordable partnerships to deliver on the crucial element of integration in the interests of our peoples. The movement of people and goods are the backbone of a successful integration movement. We have done all the studies, and the statistics point us to the favorable outcome of an effective transportation system. I accept that this is a challenge that requires investments, which may not see an immediate return. It requires confidence that the provision of such a service will boost commercial opportunities and encourage more intra-regional travel. Our drive to reduce our food import bill by 25% by 2025 depends in large measure on intra-regional transportation. The early indications are that our agricultural sector and our farmers are rising to the challenge. We need our entrepreneurs, therefore, to look favorably upon the opportunities available in the transportation sector and be there for the long haul. As we reflect and deliberate on the challenges of true integration, we must address our minds to the complex issues facing our member state, Haiti. We have committed as a community to supporting the Haitian people, to broker a Haitian-led solution to the instability that they now face. It is a crisis that requires our continued support and the support of a wider international community. The initial outreach has met with generally favorable reactions. We are well aware that it is just the beginning, and our engagement must build from that. And we must keep the dialogue going until there is not only light at the end of the tunnel, but a station for the stakeholders to disembark from the train, united in purpose and action. The trust that the Haitian stakeholders have placed in us exemplifies the credibility that CARICOM has built over the years. And I say to our brother Prime Minister of Haiti, you will see even increased support for the Haitian people as we seek to find a solution to your challenges. This world owes it to Haiti, and we should never allow an appearance of Haitian fatigue in our world. And we in CARICOM, we shall stand with Haiti. Ladies and gentlemen, friends of CARICOM, it concerns me that too many of our citizens are skeptical and some downright dismissive of the value and benefit of CARICOM. I am personally encouraged, however, by the engagement of our youth and their involvement in advancing the objectives of our community. For it is their actions that will determine where we go over the next 50 years. Yes, we are 50 years strong with a solid foundation to build on. It is upon that foundation that our youth should be bold enough to forge a path for CARICOM that takes it to places that we have not seen before, or even been too cautious to traverse. I am encouraged that our young people have shown much promise and have demonstrated their readiness, whether it is in the battle against climate change, their grasp of technology, and their leveraging of new technologies to create jobs right at home, their innovation and creativity, allied with entrepreneurship and cultural products, and in sports and arts. Our youth are the present and the future, and I am proud that this time around, that they too are actively involved in the path being mapped out to help them become productive global citizens. But my dear friends, the region's 11 million young people are dependent on this CARICOM to play a leading role in crime prevention and the elimination of the harmful effects on citizens and societies. Our students are depending on us to harmonize our regional education systems and to set targeted learning outcomes to prepare millennials to not just survive, but to thrive in a fast-paced global economy, to reconstruct a classroom layout and timetable that promotes the development of the holistic child, grounded in culture and values. Ladies and gentlemen, I am thrilled to welcome to this forum the Secretary General of the United Nations. The distinguished Secretary General, by his very presence here, in this significant holiday week in the United States, demonstrates his interest and commitment to CARICOM. Secretary General, we appreciate your leadership and the sharp focus that you have brought to issues confronting CARICOM and the wider developing world. Left to us, we would have appointed you the president of the world. So you'll be in a better position to effect the change that we're looking for. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, a challenge to each of us here assembled is to demonstrate the same level of commitment that the Secretary General has for CARICOM. Let us believe in CARICOM. Take our commitments to and responsibilities in CARICOM seriously. And I'm not here talking about heads. I'm talking about all of us in the Caribbean community must take our responsibility seriously. Let us lift CARICOM up, and we just may be pleasantly surprised by the benefits that a focused, united, unified CARICOM can bring to our countries and to the people we each have the honor to serve. CARICOM has no doubt been good to us, and let us speak about the positive virtues of CARICOM while we address the outstanding issues. May God bless all of us. I thank you very much.
Thank you to the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica and Chairman of the Conference of the Caribbean Community. Ladies and gentlemen, we are nearing the end of the formal program. I request your cooperation from here on in, please, to remain at your seats until we have afforded their excellencies and the heads of government and the Secretary General of CARICOM and the Secretary General of the United Nations to advance to their next appointment, following which you will be invited to retire to a reception. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the opening ceremony of the 45th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM. Will you please stand for the departure of Her Excellency, the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and His Excellency Kerwin Garcia, SC, and remain at your seats.